Superintendent of Police, and I'm the Commander of the Financial Crime Squad. Again, thank you very much for your time. We're here today because I want to draw attention to a worldwide scam targeting the Chinese community. We have offenders who contact victims on the phone, purporting to be from the Chinese embassy, and say that the victim has committed either an offence or their identity has been stolen. As a result, the victim has been asked to provide money to pay fines or a debt. I want to stress that the Chinese embassy would never contact a victim asking to pay money over the phone. If you are a receiver of any of these type of phone calls, I'd suggest that firstly you hang up, notify the local police, but whatever you do, under no circumstances are you to pay any money. As I said, this is a worldwide scheme that's basically netting these scammers in excess of $5 million. Anything else anyone would like to ask?
Detective Superintendent, how much money are we talking is being scammed out of these individuals?
It can be, one victim we know has paid $1.9 million. It can be as low as $10,000.
What's happening on the phone call? Is the voice yelling? Is it threatening?
No, basically the voice starts out quite nicely. They say that they either speak in English and then they transfer to an Asian language. They basically say, depending how the victim is cooperating or not, they say they're from the Chinese embassy, the victim has had their identity stolen or committed an offence or they're outstayed their visa. If the victim hesitates about paying money, they're then threatened, and as a result, the victim's then asked to supply their bank details or transfer money, which they're doing. So it depends upon the actual conversation itself.
And there have been instances where they've been threatened with violence?
Yes, they have. We've had incidents where victims have either been threatened themselves or their family back in China have been threatened.
Compared to the numerous other scams, I mean, how sophisticated would you say this particular scam is?
It is quite sophisticated. I must stress that it is a worldwide scheme and they're getting millions of dollars at each time. And they're actually changing the scheme to suit the circumstances. So if you receive a telephone call, whatever you do not pay any money.
And have there been, is this tied into the idea of, I guess, faking a kidnapping?
Yes, we have had instances where the victim has said that they don't have any money and they haven't got access to the money. So the offender or the person making the call asked the victim to stage a kidnapping so that they can get money from overseas from their parents.
So here in New South Wales, how many victims have there been?
At this stage we've had at least 50 reports. In the last week alone we've had 3 reports of kidnapping, but a lot of victims aren't coming forward and reporting to the police, so that's why we'd encourage them to do so. But more importantly, we'd encourage them under no circumstances are they to pay any money. They need to either hang up and report it to the police.
Is this scheme been particularly effective because it preys on, I guess, Chinese people's sort of high-level respect for authorities?
Yes, it does, and also it targets victims who are actually on a working visa or on a student visa in Australia, and so they might not have a full understanding of our legislation in this country. So they're vulnerable people, and often they're isolated because their family are back overseas.
How are they finding and choosing these victims?
They're choosing them randomly. They're just picking numbers and they're just calling numbers, and if they happen to get the right number and they get money out of it, that's fine. One person in my office actually received a telephone call yesterday from the scammers.
Because it's being tailored to local people, Australians, is there any reason to believe that they're based in Australia, this scheme, or are they likely overseas? They're
more likely to be overseas. We've also had scams that have been identified in Canada, America, and these scammers are actually based overseas.
So is there anything that New South Wales Police can do to try and stop the perpetrators?
We're certainly conducting investigations into it when working with our international counterparts to identify these offenders. But the main thing, that's why I wanted the message out to victims, not to pay any money under any circumstances. I want to stress the Chinese embassy will not contact a victim asking for their personal details, nor will they ask them to pay an amount of money over the phone or transfer money over the phone.
Any progress with the cooperation with Chinese police, and what's the difficulties?
We've received a lot of assistance from the Chinese embassy and also the Chinese authorities. They're also very concerned about this scam and how vulnerable victims are being taken advantage of. and they're fully supporting that we get the message out there under no circumstances that are victims to pay money.
Is this a new type of scam that we're seeing, or have we seen different versions of this in the past?
We're always seeing scams, tragically. However, this is a new version, but it is modifying depending upon the circumstances of the call and how receptive the victim is to paying money.
Any arrest? Any people being arrested so far?
At this stage in Australia, no, we haven't.
Sorry, you may have mentioned this. Do you know where the calls are being made from? Which country?
Well, there is a number of Asian countries that the calls are being made from.
So none from within Australia.
That's not that we're aware of at this stage.
So are the calls being made from predominantly China or all of Asia?
All across Asia. As I said, this is a worldwide scam. They're not only targeting Australians or people living in Australia, they're also targeting people living in America, Canada, any country that's gotten a large Asian population or student or visa population of people from China visiting.
You said you're working with overseas partners. What about other domestic law enforcement agencies? I know that there's South Australian Police and WA Police have also been pretty concerned about this one.
Yes, we've actually been sending out alerts across the country in regard to these scams, but more importantly, we also are working with our AFP counterparts and our international counterparts as well. We want to close this scam down. Innocent victims are actually being robbed of money, and these scammers are taking advantage of these people, which is unacceptable.
How will you be able to close it down? Can you trace the phone calls or track the phone calls? How will
That's
you-
one of the things that we're actually looking at, yes.
And could you give us more detailed information about the cooperation between the Australian government and this Chinese government?
The Chinese government has been fully supporting of this, fully supporting the Australian authorities in addressing this scam, drawing attention to the scam and trying to stop the scam. Because it's their citizens that are being affected by it.
How concerning is it that they appear to be able to make the call appear as though it's coming from the Chinese embassy, so their phone number matches or that sort of thing?
Yes, but they're porting phones as well. They're then asking a victim they're actually asking the victim to call another number, or they're actually using a second phone to contact the victim again, or they're transferring calls to another area.
And all these calls cannot be tracked where they come from?
We're certainly looking at that. That's one of the avenues we're looking at.
Is it from Australia or is it from overseas in China?
Both,
Both.
domestically and overseas. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. We do have an Asian-speaking police officer who's happy to provide some translations if you require it for the Asian media.